Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with another hot take. And Yahoo, you're killing me. Um, the Biden scandal continues to grow and continues to slowly permeate regular media. Fox has, for those of you who didn't see the Tucker Carl interview, most of it is on this um, Fox News, the Fox News site. Lapdog Press blacks out explosive Tony Bobulinski Bobulinski claims that CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, WAPO skip story. And they have. They've completely skipped the story. Most of the Bobulinski interview is on here. And let me tell you, this guy is the height of credibility. Total military guy, knew his stuff backwards and forwards in the interview. Tucker's the one that has to go, whoa, wait a minute. Go back, explain this guy, explain that guy. He knew this stuff in his head. He remembered dates and times and people, names, everything. He's the perfect witness. He was there. He got the emails. He confirms they're real. He confirms Joe Biden. It's bad. It's bad. There's so much here. They had to break down the top 10 things that were in the emails and that they talked about. Biden associated pleads with Bobulinski, "You'll bury us all of us." Bobulinski, Joe's brother's credits plausible deniability. 3, I think Joe Biden and his family are compromised by the Chinese. 4, this was never just about Hunter Biden. 5, they carved out a piece of his schedule for you. 6, Bobulinski's first meeting with Joe Biden. 7, Joe tells Bobulinski to keep an eye on his brother and son. 8, 10% for the big guy held by H. 9, there's 2 chairmen in this story. And 10, the only qualification they had was the Biden name. Dude, this is bad. And understand who this guy is. He's a guy with clearance. He's a guy who was in the military for many years. He's not one of these Hunter Biden hang-ons. And look, Hunter Biden, there's an article in the Gateway Pundit. I can't even show it to you. They've got redacted pictures of Hunter Biden actually standing next to a minor, exposing himself and taking a picture. No lie. Gateway Pundit, it's him. I assume, well, maybe it was photoshopped. Okay, good luck with that. They already identified this kid, but they can't identify it in any of the press, of course, because that's against the law now. Not that I would want that to happen. The poor kid's in trouble. I mean, they don't show the kid's face. Not that he's in trouble. It's not his fault, but like, it's trouble for, I mean, he's a Biden family member, according to the rumor, according to what people are saying. But the money end with Joe Biden selling his influence, I mean, that's as clear as day. It's as clear as day. Hunter is completely out of control. You got Joe's brother trying to keep him in line, but kind of not really. He's almost as bad, but not as, he's not attending drug-fueled orgies with Russians. And now, we got Fox covering it. Yahoo News is covering it. Bobulinski claims documents prove Joe's Biden lying about lack of involvement in Hunter's influence peddling. I mean, this is a legit story, and you gotta read it. Now, I know most of you probably already have read it and probably already know about it. You probably have sent me links. I've got a link to the Fox story in my comments section. I tried to link. I watched the entire Tucker interview before they took it off of YouTube. Although, to be fair, someone reposted it. I mean, it wasn't Fox. It was just, I think it was a site called Celebrities Central. And they had reposted the entire interview, all 50 minutes of it, the entire show. Well, they kick that stuff off of YouTube all the time, so I'm not faulting YouTube for that. But the rest of the media is not covering this. But they're going to have to. They're going to have to. This is permeating out because it's that big. It's way bigger than Watergate. way bigger, because you have influence peddling. Nixon didn't influence peddle. Nixon wasn't going to sell his influence to the Chinese. That's bad. That's the number one enemy of the United States these days, in case you're wondering. It's not Russia. Russia may not be exactly be our friend, but it is a federation. They're not out to destroy us and run their tanks over into our streets. They might be out to beat us economically, but they're not out to destroy us as the Soviets were. The Chinese, however, oh yeah, they'd like to see us destroyed. Right. Because then they could take over. The Russians probably would want to be our business partners. And then, eventually supplant us. But that would be way down the road for them. The Chinese are ready to do it now. Not that they can, but I have I don't think the Chinese can actually do what they claim they want to do, but they can do again, like Antifa, they can do a ton of damage in their attempt. A ton. So this guy is Tony Bobulinski is the height of credibility. He's just, this guy has got to be on the record, on the congressional record. Congress has to do something. They have to. Hunter has broken multiple laws that we know of. Okay? He's smoking crack, banging hookers. Looks like he exposed himself to a minor. And, as Bobulinski says, what does he have other than his father's name? I've been to LA a bunch of times. I never ran into a group of cool Russians who said, hey, come back to our place for a drug-fueled orgy. That doesn't happen to normal people. That happens to Hunter Biden because, I guarantee you, most likely one of those Russians is probably working for whatever they got for the KGB these days. It's a different organization. I forget what it's called. I think it's called the FSB or something. Yeah, why wouldn't they? They want to get the goods on Hunter Biden. Every other country seems to have it. Why not the Russians? And if it's that easy, you can't approach a guy like Joe Biden anywhere. He's surrounded by people constantly and isolated. He's also an older guy, so good luck running into him at all. Hunter Biden, however, he's the sort of guy you can run into a hotel bar and say, "Hey, buddy, why the long face?" Because I imagine, in my mind, I picture Hunter as being always miserable, because only people who are trying to slowly kill themselves are going to, smoke crack and bang prostitutes constantly. So it's probably like, hey, buddy, why so down in the dumps? Oh, yeah, whatever, dude. I'm just sitting here having a drink. Oh, let me, what's your name, And you just strike up a conversation. Next thing you know, you got him back at your place, which was the whole point of the operation. Banging some hookers that you arranged ahead of time to make sure there would be hot women there and drugs. And he just happens to be there with Russians, and in West Hollywood of all places. That's where it allegedly happened. West Hollywood. That place is crawling with celebrities, in case you don't know it. Well, maybe not West Hollywood, but LA and Hollywood. When I was there, I saw celebrities when I walked around. I saw Oscar from The Office getting a latte at Starbucks. I saw a few other people. Saw this really hot actress jogging. I forget who it was. Oh, she was smoking hot. And, you just had to be around them. And, one time Steve Buscemi at a bar, people were annoying the hell out of him. I felt bad for him. But it's like, as soon as a celebrity walks into a room, everybody goes around and, hey, buddy, let me buy you a drink. I'm your friend. You're rich and famous. I want to be near you. That doesn't happen to normal people. It happens to Hunter Biden, but only because his father's the vice president. That would be the only reason, Hunter. I hate to tell you, because at the end of the day, you're kind of a normal dude. that you just so happen to be part of the Biden family. Yeah, I guess you're a little rich. How are you rich, though? Because, again, the Biden family. Take a guy like Hunter out of the mix, he'd just be some rando lawyer. If that. That's my opinion. Speculation. But this is not speculation what Bobulinski is saying. He's got real proof. And as he said in the interview, he has every email, every text, every WhatsApp. He saved it all. He saved it all. They were going through them, some of them in the interview. I mean, he's got it all. And he knew that it was bad news to be involved with the Chinese. He knew it. And he was trying to find out what the hell was going on half the time with Hunter. And Hunter just do stuff. Hunter's not using good judgment. Is a guy who's smoking crack using good judgment? You could argue that, the son of the VP could use a Chinese consortium or whatever the hell it is to enrich himself without giving away any secrets. He could totally screw him. He could. Except, I don't think that's what happened. I don't think a crackhead is capable of those machinations. Because eventually, crackhead, the Chinese guy's just going to be like, hey, you want to go smoke some crack and, chill out for a little while? Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. Sounds like a great idea, my friend. Yeah, let's smoke some crack. I mean, come on. Hunter is a total liability, however you slice it. He'd be a liability in business, in the private sector. He'd definitely be a liability in the government. He's a liability. He'd be a liability if he wasn't a lawyer doing any of these deals. The fact that he's a crackhead and bangs prostitutes is a liability enough that the Bidens would have to get him under control. And they're not. He is their son. Yeah, he's an older guy. He's my age. So what? My parents have influence over me. They call me up and say, hey, don't do this or do that or whatever. I can choose to ignore them. I'm old enough to do that. But, when somebody's a crackhead, that's a different deal. That's a whole nother level of, you got to do something about your kid, man. Come on, man. Joe Biden's not doing that. Now, in Joe Biden's defense, I think he's out to lunch. He's got dementia. Maybe he doesn't even understand what the hell's going on around him at this point. He's calling Trump George. His wife has to hold his hand. I mean, maybe Jill Biden's really running the show behind the scenes. It's possible. It would fall onto her. And, to keep the charade going, I guess, if that's the case, until he can get elected and then they could just retire him. Say, oh, I'm going to retire. Kamala, it's all in good hands, everybody. Meanwhile, Kamala, I trust her less than Biden. I mean, Biden at least is a demented, crazy old man. I kind of know where he's headed. I think he's been lying through his teeth through the entire election, so I don't think he plans to introduce a tenth of what he's promised. But Kamala, I have no idea what she's about other than power. Other than, critical race theory. Oh, Joe Biden might just drag his feet and forget that he even promised to look at it. Kamala, I think, would be all about critical race theory. I think she'd be like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, let's teach this in schools. We can't have that. Bobulinski, get him into Congress. Get him sworn in. Start investigating these effers. These effers are corrupt up to the eyeballs. And Hunter needs to be taken down before he... I mean, look, I don't think he's going to make it to trial unless the Bidens finally rein him in and get him into rehab. But he's clearly... I mean, his own family is arguing about what to do about Hunter and his situation from those emails. From those emails, The therapist is saying he's acting sexually inappropriate with the child. What more proof do you need that the guy's messed up? He needs to be taken out of this. He needs to be compartmentalized and studied and fixed at the very least. And he probably deserves to go to jail. Judging from all this, certainly an investigation is appropriate. Massive investigation. Why isn't the CIA on this? You know, this is the purview of the CIA. It absolutely 100% is. Where is the CIA on this? Why aren't they totally on top of this? I said from the beginning that maybe Hunter's a CIA operative when it was just Burisma. And then it was like, China? Well, yeah, they'd be into China too. Maybe it's still the case. I don't know. Maybe this is the greatest cover an agent ever had. But now I sincerely doubt that's the case. I think Hunter is just probably a miserable guy who's out of control and trying to slowly destroy himself. He needs to be stopped for the good of himself, for the good of his family, for the good of the country at this point. There needs to be a full stop on the Bidens and an investigation right now. And it's a disgrace that these other media outlets haven't covered it. And that disgrace is going to follow you in the months to come and into next year. When this finally does come out, you will be on the hook here. And people are going to severely question, why am I bookmarking CNN or MSNBC, or why am I paying for a subscription to the New York Times when they ignore news? Why? Why? When somebody on a YouTube channel can scoop the New York Times, why am I paying for that?